Hey, what's going on, guys? So I'm going to kind of change gears a little bit on the frog reviews and go to a very unique frog. This is the Ima Dabeat frog, and it's a very small frog. In fact, I don't think I've reviewed any small frogs to date. I think the only smaller frog that I reviewed was the Revolution frog, which is a fairly small frog, but it's I think it's a 50 size, maybe not even a 55, but a 50 size. So I'll show you a comparison between those. But looks like it only comes in one size as far as the Ima Dabeat frog only comes in one size. And it has a weight of 1/4 ounce, so a very light frog, and it has a length of 1 4/5 inches. Kind of a obscure number there, but again, just a very short little frog. The cool thing about this frog is it comes with really long skirt material on here. Looks like we have about maybe 15 strands of rubber skirt material. On mine, you can see that they're not even all broken apart. See how they're still kind of stuck together there. But a fairly thick skirt material too, because some of the rubber skirt material, it's very, very thin, and then some of it is very thick. This is definitely the thicker stuff. And I suppose you can call this a popping frog, because you look at the mouth of it, and you can see it's got a cupped mouth on it. It's such a small frog, though, that popping mouth, don't expect it to create a tremendous amount of disturbance. In fact, the entire frog altogether doesn't create a whole lot of disturbance. I would definitely use this style frog at the beginning of the year. I suppose you can use it later on in the year, but at the beginning of the year where the frog bite may or may not be turning on yet, and you kind of just want to get the temperature of the bass by throwing a frog out there that's not going to be very intimidating looking. You can see this one has the skirt material still all stuck to it too. But it's a very nice looking frog, though. I mean, it's very well made. There's going to be some issues that you're going to run into with this frog. To me, it's kind of fundamental issues because, first of all, it's a small frog, and at 1/4 ounce. That's a hard frog to cast with a casting rod, especially with a very stout rod like a frog rod, like a 5-power or 6-power frog rod. And to me, if I'm going to throw a frog, I'm throwing it into heavy cover most of the time. Most of the time, I'm throwing it into heavy cover or sparse vegetation. Most of the time, I'm throwing it into mats and stuff like that. And you need a heavy rod to get those fish out of there when you're throwing it into situations like that. So I suppose you can buck back down to a 4-power rod, but if you can cast this thing with a 5-power, I would still cast it with the 5-power. The hooks are going to hold up. They're still really stout and thick hooks that are on there. They're not as thick as like the Live Target Copper 65T or anything like that, but they're still really, really thick hooks. So and they can definitely take that pressure. But again, a fundamental issue with the frog, the fact that even if you can cast it on your heavy rod, you're probably not going to get it out that far. The things that I did to combat the casting issues that I was running into is, instead of having the lure sit 8 to 10 inches from the rod tip before I cast, I'd put it down about 18 inches, maybe 20 inches from the rod tip to help get some, I guess, centrifugal force when you throw it out there to help carry the frog further out there, because I mean, this is just a backlash machine if you let it get the best of you. So there's definitely a learning curve to throwing it. Some people may throw it on a spinning rod. I think you could throw it on a spinning rod if you're throwing it in open water. I think that there's better options that you can choose to throw something in open water, like maybe just a popper. That's what I would choose, and I would throw that, you know, depending on the size of the popper. I usually throw mine on casting gear, but some people would throw it on spinning gear. There's just a lot of fundamental issues that I see in this frog with a small frog altogether. Another one being that when it is on top of the mats, if you do happen to get it out there, it just doesn't create enough disturbance. It doesn't create enough enough action on top of the mats to resonate through the mats to get a bass's attention. And usually when a bass comes up, I mean, in my experience, they want to eat something big. I mean, I'm usually not bucking down my sizes to frogs. I'm usually going up because it just seems like the bass want a big meal, and a small frog is usually not on the menu for a frog or for a bass. So just a lot of fundamental issues that I see for my own purposes of fishing. I don't want to like go on and on and on about that, because I know that a lot of people have had success with small frogs like that. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys a Copper's 45T. That's the smallest one that Copper's makes, just to kind of give you guys an idea of how small the frog is, because a Copper's 45T is much more readily available than an Ima Dabeat frog. But you can see that they're about the same size, and if I bring them up, you see how much longer that skirt material is. I mean, it's very, very long. In fact, I'll go ahead and show a measurement of the skirt material. It's almost 4 inches as opposed to 2.5 inches on the Copper's 45T. So it's definitely long skirt material here. Many people will choose to cut it down. I like to keep it long, if for anything else, just to have that extra weight to throw it out there, and to have that extra weight weighing down on some of the matted material that you're going to throw this frog into. So there's going to be some people that are going to try to argue with me about this. I welcome it. I'm not trying to argue with anybody about the frog, because it's a very nice frog, and I don't argue about its ability to catch fish. But for the type and style of fishing that I like to do, it's just too small. There's not a lot of use that I have for a small frog in my arsenal of frogs, because it's just, they're hard to cast. They don't create a lot of disturbance on top of the water. And as far as like having to, you know, possibly buck down your gear to something that is smaller and stuff like that, then you're also running into other issues like breaking and not getting fish out if you happen to catch a big fish and it goes under the mats or something like that, and then you get tangled up or something like that. Frog fishing is like the epitome of power fishing, and to horse out a fish out of you know, a 3-pound bass with 6 pounds of salad, that's like the epitome of bass fishing. And small, to me, doesn't fit anywhere into that atmosphere. With that being said, I can see where a lot of people would really, really dig this frog, and it's really well made. These look like they are 3-dimensional eyes, but they're not like stuck on there. It looks like they're actually molded into the body of the frog. So, and again, it's a really nice and well-made frog. I guess I expected it to be a little bit bigger when I was looking at the picture on Tackle Warehouse. I mean, you look at the specs on it, the 1/4 ounce and 1 4/5 inches long, but I guess I just expected it to be just slightly bigger. So, and there's no rattle in it or anything like that. So go ahead and go over the colors here. This first one's called Forest Green. Forest Green is just kind of like a emerald green, I guess, on the top, and then it goes into this. It's almost kind of just a flat brown. In fact, the entire frog is, there's no gloss to the frog at all. It's just all flat. This looks like it's black, but it's really just a dark, dark brown. The skirt material is a black, looks like it's black. Yeah, it's like a flat black with a flat forest green on the skirt material. So this is called Forest Green. And this next color is called Midnight Black. And this is a black frog. It's got a tiny bit of gold here on the front leading edge of it, but it's just an all black frog. It's got that same kind of scallop design there on the belly of the frog. On the forest one, it's silver, and on this one, it's kind of gold, I guess. So there's Midnight Black. All right, guys, so there is the Ima Dabeat frog. Again, it's a really nice frog. I just don't have a lot of use for it. I mean, again, I don't want to say not to buy it, because some people out there are just looking for a small frog. I know my buddy that I fish with all the time fishes with some of the smaller frogs and has a lot of success with them. I guess I just don't have that type of patience for a small frog, and to have to pay attention to the smaller details that go into throwing a small frog, when I can have success on throwing it on something like this behemoth 65T from Coppers. I mean, you look at that. I mean, it just looks enormous compared to that Ima Dabeat frog. So, and when I was out fishing, I was fishing with this one. Actually, in fact, I was fishing with all three of these frogs: the baby Kahara frog, the Ima Dabeat frog, and the Coppers 45T. And they're pretty much all kind of the same frog, as far as the way that they cast and the way they sit in the water and stuff like that. This one has a little bit more action because of that cut mouth, so it spits a little bit more water, but not a lot. So, again, a nice frog. The material on the back is fairly soft, not as soft as a Coppers 45T, probably more like a, I would say it's like a 45T, just stiffer, and it's probably stiffer just because it's smaller. So here was that other small frog that I was telling you guys about, the Reaction Strike Revolution frog, and you can see that, I mean, it's a small frog, but it's not really as small as this this Ima Dabeat frog. So so check it out, guys. I think it is a nice frog. It's $10.99, so it's pretty expensive, but definitely not out of the realm of possibility for many anglers out there. If you guys like the video, please hit the like button down there in the lower left corner. I really appreciate that. And if you guys have any questions or comments, please leave them below. And please, if you guys have success with this frog, please share it below, because again, it's just one man's opinion. And I know that there are many people out there that have had success with this frog. So, so post a comment if you guys have had some good success with this frog. And stay tuned for the next review. Thanks a lot.